Welcome to the WolfPack Sports Wire, a podcast from the athletic department at Whitefield Academy. Whitefield Academy is a Christ-centered pre-K through 12 college preparatory school located in Smyrna, Georgia. On this show, we highlight our hardworking coaches and student athletes who are excelling in and out of competition. Welcome back to the WolfPack Sports Wire. I'm your host, Jack Hunter. It's the week of October 20th, and today is episode 10 of the show. Thanks for following along this year as we've now reached double-digit episodes. On today's show, we will catch up with Coach Walsh following a sub-region championship win last Friday. Afterwards, we will be joined by middle school athletic director Matt Pelot as we discuss our growing middle school programs and how they help our varsity teams. First, here's Coach Walsh. Now joined by Whitefield head football coach Robert Walsh following an exciting 24-19 win over Landmark Christian in the sub-region championship game last Friday night. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's a nice, crisp fall morning. Feels good outside, getting closer and closer to football weather. How are you, Jack?
I'm doing well. We're recording this Monday morning. I walked out my door this morning, and I was alarmed at the coolness in the air. It's like officially fall today, October 20th, in case we hadn't gotten to that point yet. So it was a huge night on Friday night. We talked about it being sub-region championship. It was also senior night. We had a little more media attention there as a Fox 5 game of the week. With a kind of a late, close win over Landmark Christian, it seemed kind of like the perfect night. When you were getting interviewed on the game, when you hoisted that high five trophy, what were you thinking about just after that game ended?
I just thought about the adversity that we faced throughout that game, with shooting ourselves in the foot with penalties, missing a few throws here and there, a couple costly fumbles. But our kids responded to the adversity they faced that night, and that to me shows how resilient they are and that they can rise to the challenge if they have to in a close game like that.
So we talked about last week, this was the first close game that you guys have played since the Pacelli game on the 19th, but really the first close ending that you guys have had in the fourth quarter since Social Circle back in early September. So how did you think your team fared in a game that you knew was going to kind of be tough going down the wire?
I thought defensively that was arguably probably our best performance, dealing with Skylar Hamilton and Javon Freeney. I mean, I think those are two of the best football players in our class, in our division. Defensively, they were extremely athletic as well, but just rising to the challenge late in the game, defensively, keeping everything in front of us when we took that 2-score lead, making them earn it and waste a lot of clock there. And then being able to get the onside kick, they illegally touched it, and then we were able to run the clock out, which I think was huge for us to finish the game. Yeah,
Freeney and Hamilton, as you mentioned, two probably the best players we're going to see all year, and for Hamilton, really a true dual threat quarterback, Division I prospect. He's very fast, can throw the ball pretty well. How did you feel like you guys defended against him, and what do you think was the key to kind of keeping him in check for the night?
I think it was just keeping the receivers in front of us, not giving up big chunk plays, and making him run the ball a little bit and hit him a little bit, tire him out. I thought defensively we did that. We didn't allow big plays through the air as much. He did hurt us a couple times with his feet, but I'd much rather that happen than him throw it over the top of us.
Yeah, I think obviously team effort win. There are some individuals that kind of stand out at every win that you guys had, and one that really comes to mind is Cole Radley in that game, and just kind of all sides of the football. Huge fourth down stop, big time tackle about 2 yards short of the marker in the second quarter, and then had a 36-yard field goal to make it a 2-score game in the fourth quarter, and then late in the game had a sideline toe tap catch to really ice the game. What did you see out of him stepping up in that moment to really secure that win?
Like you said, we've always had at least one individual that's kind of stood out on a Friday night game, and We're blessed to have so many great players. And Cole, it was his night to step up. Landon scrambled around on a pass play, and Cole got away from his man and made a great play down the stretch for us to get a touchdown to go 21, I think, to 13 at that point. And then we got in field goal range, and we've been working Cole in with our kickers. He's got a strong leg, and he's probably got the strongest leg out of all our kickers. And just had a gut feeling that, hey, let's roll with Cole here. Harrison Brantley did an unbelievable job on the snap. Snap was a little high. He got it down, and, that thing was probably good from 55, 60 yards after Cole kicked it. But just rising to the challenge and accepting the challenge, I'm extremely proud of our seniors, all our seniors, this past Friday night.
It was kind of a different type of game than we've been used to seeing in terms of offensively. You guys ran 63 plays, and I looked at the box score, and it said that Landmark only ran 28 plays. You dominated the time of possession. You really kept their offense off the field. You ran just shy of 50 plays in the first half, over 20 plays in the first quarter. And a large part of that was, you guys only had 4.4 yards per carry. You didn't have a lot of huge explosive plays that would have, ended drives early. But in a game that was kind of not always the way that you guys play, you guys were able to win kind of a different way. What did you notice about the way that the impact that it had, that you guys were able to kind of sit on the ball and keep the ball away from Landmark's offense?
They were loading the box. They would put 10, 11 guys. All 11 guys were within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and we were still able to average 4.4 yards per carry. I think that says a lot about our offensive line. It also says a lot about Mason and his toughness and his grit. He probably hasn't been hit that much all season, so it was toughness is what it comes down to, I think, Friday night. And Landon Ryan had a few big runs down the stretch as well, where he kept the ball and showed some physicality on the finishing of runs. That's the biggest thing. I think our kids rose to the challenge. I kind of challenged them in the third quarter a little bit because Landmark was a physical team. They were running the football. They were showing some toughness, and I challenged our guys. I said, it's time for us to rise to the challenge. How tough are you going to be down the stretch to finish this game out? And the boys did a great job responding to the adversity and rising to the challenge.
Yeah, there's been a lot of big plays this year, super explosive offense. Our offense is averaging a ton of points, ton of yards per game, great skill position players, and it's kind of easy to maybe overlook the toughness in between the trenches, but that was fully exhibited in this game. And Mason's had those games where he's had multiple 50-plus yard touchdowns, but this game was remarkable, as you mentioned, in the sense of, he had 36 carries in this game, got hit a bunch. And also, he lost a fumble early in the game, but was able to really effectively bounce back from that, did not let that get to his head, scored a touchdown later in the game. What did you think about his performance, not only being able to take so many hits, be so consistent, get the ball 36 times, but also kind of from a mental aspect, being able to flush a early mistake and be able just to keep grinding and help the team out?
Yeah, I talked to him after that fumble. We were going out for kickoff return, and I just told him, listen, man, nobody on this team there's nobody else in that backfield we'd rather have than you carrying the ball. Just tuck it away, run angry the rest of the game, and take care of the ball. And that's what he did. There was countless runs where he's running through tackles. He trucked Javon Freeney for a big first down. I think it was in the third quarter, just running hard. He was running angry. He definitely responded to and rose to the toughness challenge that we had to respond to.
Yeah, and then you also briefly mentioned your quarterback, Landon Ryan. This was a tough game for him in a good way. It was a big challenge in the sense of the most passing attempts he's thrown since that social circle game about a month and a half ago. He had 2 push touchdowns, had a lot of key throws late in the game, lowered his shoulder into a guy later in the game. He really wore on his sleeve. Was kind of bloodied up a little bit. How do you feel about having a quarterback like that in those spots late in the game that you can trust to make those plays?
I'm hard on Landon. If you're watching Friday night games, you'll see me in his face challenging him as a quarterback. but he responds. I mean, he missed some throws early in the game. He was 13 of 18, extremely efficient. I think there was a chance he could have been 15 for 18, probably with 2 touchdown passes if he had 2 throws back. But he continues to rise to the challenge. He gets better each week. And we're going to have to ride his arm a little bit because people are going to do what Landmark did this past Friday night. They're going to load the box, and we're going to have to take advantage of it and make throws down the field to make them respect our receivers and him as a passer.
Yeah, this game was circled for a number of reasons. Obviously, we talk about senior night, sub-region championship, Fox 5 game of the week. You kind of said to the players after the game and to everybody looking on that, with the cameras, with Fox 5 there, that we really showed Atlanta what Whitefield was like. What do you, when you said what Whitefield was like, what do you mean? What describes Whitefield to you in a game after a game like that?
Just our community support. You look in the stands Friday night, and this place was packed. Our student section was packed. Our band was playing loud and proud, and not just not the support, but the love this community has for each other. You walk on this campus, you can see the example of that, the way our students treat each other, the way our faculty and staff treat each other, the admin team, the way they support our faculty and staff, and then our parents, just the love they have for this place and the young men on that field on Friday night, the support that this community gives them. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me about Mason wanting to help with the recruiting process, and they don't even really know Mason. That just speaks volumes to what this community is all about and what makes it different and what makes it such a blessing for me to just be the head football coach here.
You guys are now riding high, entered the GHSF daily rankings, got a boost in the power rankings, which is really going to matter for playoff seeding. But you still have this next week versus Walker, and then you have the region championship. So let's start with Walker. They had a bye week, so they're going to be pretty fresh coming into this game. But they've struggled this year. They're 2-6. So what's going to be the focus going into this week of practice and going into Friday night, and not looking too far ahead to games on the horizon?
I'm going to do something that I usually don't do during a practice week preparing for a game. We're going to only practice an hour today on Monday. It was a physical game Friday night against Landmark Christian. We're going to clean up some things, do some things fundamentally to prepare for Walker, but really focus on us today. Walker's struggling. I have a lot of respect for TJ Anderson over there at Walker, their head coach. He's a friend of mine. I've been in his position. I've been part of programs where they're struggling for numbers and you're trying to keep football alive and trying to build something. So a lot of respect for him. Me and him were texting last night. They're going to be struggling for guys playing this Friday just because of injuries and where they're at in this point in the season. So the biggest thing that I'll tell the kids, very similar to Best Academy, is we got to play to our standard. Let's take care of business in that first half, and let's get some young guys some opportunities to play underneath the lights on a Friday night.
So before we wrap this up, I do want to kind of go down the program a little bit and give a shout out to the 5th and 6th grade football team for winning a close title game. This was a low scoring football game. I was 8-6 final against Mount Parent. What does it mean to you to see that 5th and 6th grade football team really grit out a championship and have such a great season?
It's fun to watch those young guys compete, and it's fun to watch our coaching staff to celebrate with those guys because they work those guys pretty hard down at the 5th and 6th grade level. But to win 8-6, that's back-to-back Metro 10 championships for our 5th and 6th grade program. So, having success at that level and the kids having an expectation of wanting to win football games, I think helps boost your program for the future. I mean, they went undefeated this year, so that's pretty exciting as a head coach of the program.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for the time today. Good luck this Friday versus Walker.
Appreciate it, Jack, and go Pack.
Our next guest is Matt Pelot, who serves as an assistant athletic director and also serves as the athletic director for middle school sports. We normally do not talk about non-varsity sports on this program, But this conversation reminds us of how creating a healthy middle school sports program is vital to the success of our varsity teams. Here he is. Coach Pelot, great to have you on. How are you doing?
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Well, that's great. So we're going to talk a little bit about middle school sports with you first, since you do oversee the middle school athletic department, and then we'll get some high school stuff at the end. But first of all, just tell us what being a middle school athletic director entails.
Yeah, with the middle school AD role, I do a lot of the scheduling. I'll put together all of our schedules for our middle school athletics. That's kind of the first part of it. I'm usually working about 3 or 4 months ahead of that season, so I'm working on spring schedules right now and making sure those are laid out, and we have space for us to get those games in connection with our varsity and JV schedules as well. Oversee, helping middle school families and kids who go through our cut process for our cut sports, and partner with them as we go through that, and just kind of support our coaches as best as I can.
That's great. So you've been doing this for a few years. Have there been any trends or any ways that middle school sports have changed in your tenure? Because high school and obviously college sports have changed a lot in the last few years.
Yeah, with middle school sports and the different age levels, there's a lot of outside sports that are available for this age group. So, just trying to navigate that to make sure that our kids get an opportunity to compete for the school. I think that our community has a lot of pride in athletics, and being able to provide that option for them to compete and put that Whitefield jersey on is very important. I would say, there's different programs that have grown since my tenure here. One in particular has been our girls basketball program. We've seen a big interest in girls coming out and being excited about playing basketball for our girls program here. A couple other ones have been our softball program has grown. Soccer, girls soccer in particular, has grown at the middle school level. So as a football coach, I've coached football for a long time. Being able to kind of transition over to help with those girls sports has been important to me as a middle school AD.
That's great, and they're obviously in different programs, in different middle school sports. Each coach kind of has their things that they prioritize, but more on a grand level. What is the goal, or what are the goals of middle school sports programs in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people would love to just come in and win Metro 10 championships and get their year and their sport put up on a banner. And I tell all of our coaches that we are still very much a developmental program at the middle school level. We want to grow the love of the sport within the kid so that they want to go and play it at the next level. We as middle school coaches and I as a middle school athletic director, our main goal is to make sure that our varsity programs are healthy, and we strive to do that by providing a good season within that sport, so that particular athlete grows a love for the game and wants to go and compete at the JV and varsity level.
Yeah, and how important is that too, with Whitefield not being maybe a school that feeds into ninth grade, where a lot of kids come in new into school in ninth grade, but a lot of the student athletes that are at the varsity levels come through the middle school, and so how important is that developmental process, or kind of instilling some fun for them and interest in that sport, knowing that these are the guys and girls that are going to be on the varsity teams in a few years?
Yeah, it's huge, because you really don't know how an athlete's going to develop as they come through middle school, and they grow. They get in the weight room with Coach Pollard. They hit growth spurts at different times. So the biggest piece is just to make sure that they enjoy that time. They're competing well. They learn how to compete in middle school and do it in a positive way. And then our job as middle school coaches is to pass them off to the next level and make sure that they're developed and still enjoy playing.
Yeah. So what do you think is the impact of sports on the school, or more specifically on the middle school? How does that help the students' experience here at Whitefield?
I think athletics is huge for any school, and I think how you can kind of see it across a lot of these schools, both private and public. Of if they've got healthy athletic programs, 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a pretty healthy school and community, and it really comes down to accountability, and I think that's what sports does for these kids, is gives them accountability. They've got another level of an adult that is caring for them and taking the time out of their day to make sure that they know that they're valued, and that helps in the classroom, it helps on the field, and hopefully by the time they graduate from Whitefield, they are able to take those experiences that they have, both in middle school and then in varsity, and be able to use those things that have been taught to them in life and in college, and just trying to put good products out there in society.
So what is your favorite part, or maybe what's special to you about working in your role, or just in at Whitefield specifically?
I mean, I think it goes back to just our mission. We want to be Christ-centered in everything we do, and we do that even at the middle school level in athletics. We want to instill what our mission is here and make sure that it is seen through everything we do. We want to make sure that the community understands that as well, and I believe that we strive to do that every day. This is a special community. I feel like this is the perfect size to be able to carry out our mission, and to be able to partner with families and coaches, whether it be community coaches that are coming in and we're coaching them up on what it means to be a Christ-centered school and how to do that through athletics. And that's probably the one thing that I have enjoyed the most about being here at Whitefield.
Yeah, so now let's transition to some high school sports. As assistant athletic director, you have kind of a unique view over things, because we talk about a lot of coaches, and we talk to some student athletes, and they talk about what they know, what they experience, and you, as being an administrator, can kind of see over that. So, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I feel like we are in a position right now from a varsity standpoint across the board where we have some very quality, outstanding coaches who not only care about their student athletes, but they care about competing and doing it the right way, which, again, back to my other point, is what I feel like helps make Whitefield a very healthy school altogether, where we can put people in the right places that are going to help us compete at a high level, but also do it the right way and be able to put those mission pieces out there for us through athletics. But yeah, our varsity coaches right now are I would put them up against any other athletic department in the state right now.
You want to talk about some of our fall sports and how they're wrapping up, and then some of the winter sports that are starting here soon.
Yeah, we're recording this on Tuesday, so we've got a softball doubleheader, second round playoff. We had a bye first round, so the girls have had a little time off, and they're heading into a doubleheader against Kings Ridge tomorrow, with a possible game 3 on Thursday. Coach Fuller has done an amazing job with these girls. They've got some great senior leadership with CC Springfield, Nava Carvis, Ramsey Thompson, and Annabelle Gallagher. I know that they are all very excited about this matchup. I hope it goes as well as they feel about it, and we're able to keep that rolling with softball. Our volleyball team wrapped up their season last week. Just wanted to highlight Coach DeSantis and what a great job she's done as her first year in that role, leading our volleyball team. We're really proud of the efforts and the time that she's put into that, growing that program. The future is very bright for our volleyball program. Freshman Mathis Henritze won the Region Player of the Year, so we're really excited about what volleyball can do next season. As you know, you've hit on it in the past, cross-country sectionals is at Westland next Saturday, November 1st, and Coach Justice, Coach Rainey have done an amazing job with them. The way cross-country operates, they have sectionals, and then if you qualify, you make it to state. So Friday, November 7th at Carrollton is for cross-country state. I also wanted to hit on, I know we have Coach Walsh on here that talks about football, and I was kind of blown away by the support that we got this past Friday night at the landmark matchup, to the community coming out and supporting our football team. But some of the unsung heroes of a Friday night are our cheerleaders. Coach Bassing and Coach Cochran have done a really good job with making sure that those girls are prepared. A lot of people may not know this, but they put in a lot of time into perfecting their craft and making sure that they're putting a good product out there, and they are always there with a smile on their face and cheering them on. Miss Kuros, Stacy Kuros, with our band, does a great job. Another kind of unsung hero there with providing a good environment on a Friday night. It's great that to be the size school and private school that we are, and to be able to put a band out there, puts a good product on the field at halftime is great. And also our broadcast team. I know it means a lot to these families who, have grandparents or family that can't get to games, and they get to watch it online. And our broadcast team works really hard to make sure that they're doing a really good job with that. I know I always enjoy going back and watching the broadcasts and hearing what they have to say. And we've loved having you do your piece and do your thing on the broadcast as well, Jack.
Well, I appreciate it, and it was great to have you on today.
All right. Thank you, Jack. Go Pack.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show, and also thanks to Coach Walsh and Coach Pelot for their time and insight. Tune back in next week as we start covering winter sports. Until then, hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will catch you next week on The Wire.